I'm 93 years old, and I'm about to tell you something I've never told anyone, not even my own children. For 40 years, I've been living a lie. Not the kind of lie where you pretend to be someone you're not. The kind where you hide who you really are. And now, sitting here in what's probably the final chapter of my life, I realize that this silence has been the biggest mistake I ever made. My children think they know me. They see an elderly man who worked hard, provided for his family, went to church every Sunday, never caused trouble. They think I'm simple, predictable, maybe even a little boring, and I let them believe that. For 4 decades, I smiled, I nodded, I played the role they expected, but the truth is, they don't know me at all. They don't know about the dreams I abandoned, the person I used to be before I became their father, the thoughts that kept me awake at night, the regrets that have haunted me for decades. And the worst part? It's too late to tell them now, not because I'm dying, though that clock is certainly ticking, but because I built this wall so high for so long that I wouldn't even know where to begin tearing it down. Let me take you back. I was 27 when I got married. Young, full of dreams, secretly terrified. I wanted to be a writer, not just any writer, but someone who would tell stories that mattered, stories that would make people feel less alone in this world. I had notebooks full of ideas, characters, entire worlds I'd created in my mind. My soon-to-be wife knew about this. She even encouraged it at first. But then reality hit. We got married. 6 months later, she was pregnant. Suddenly, writing stories didn't seem practical anymore. I needed a real job, a steady income, health insurance. So I took a position at an accounting firm. Temporary, I told myself, just until we get on our feet. That temporary job lasted 43 years, and somewhere along the way, I stopped being the person who dreamed of writing stories and became the person who processed numbers. I told myself it was noble. I was providing for my family, being responsible, being a man. But the truth is, I was terrified. Terrified of failing as a writer. Terrified of disappointing people. Terrified of being seen as selfish for chasing a dream instead of taking care of my responsibilities. Here's what nobody tells you about silence. It becomes a habit. At first, you don't share one thing, then another, then another. You think you're protecting people or protecting yourself. But really, you're building a wall, brick by brick, until one day you look around and realize you're completely isolated, even in a room full of people who love you. I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. They're in their 50s and 60s now, with children and grandchildren of their own. And when we talk, which isn't as often as it used to be, the conversations are always the same. Surface level. How's work? How are the kids? Did you see that game? Weather's been crazy lately, hasn't it? We never talk about anything real. We never talk about dreams or fears or regrets. We never talk about who we really are beneath the roles we play. And that's my fault. Because I set the tone decades ago. I taught them, through my silence, that we don't talk about those things, that feelings are private, that vulnerability is weakness, that real men don't share what's going on inside. When my wife died 7 years ago, something inside me broke. We'd been married for 59 years, and in all that time, I never told her about the dreams I'd given up, the stories I still thought about writing, the person I used to be before I became husband, father, provider. She never knew that I would lie awake at night, thinking about the characters in my mind, the books I would never write. She died thinking she knew me, but she didn't. Not really. And that's not her fault. That's mine. After her funeral, I found myself going through old boxes in the attic, and I discovered something that broke my heart. She had kept a journal, and in one entry from 30 years ago, she wrote, "I wish I knew what my husband really thinks about. Sometimes I look at him and feel like I'm looking at a stranger. I love him, but I don't know him." She felt it. All those years, she felt the wall between us, and I never knew. Or maybe I did know, and I just didn't want to face it. Either way, I failed her. I failed to show her who I really was. I failed to let her in, and now she's gone, and I can never fix that. My oldest son is 62. He's a doctor, successful, respected, everything a father could want. But we're not close. We talk maybe once a month, brief conversations that never go anywhere, and I know why. Because I never taught him how to be close. I never showed him that it's okay to be vulnerable, to share your fears, to admit when you're struggling. I taught him through my example that men should be strong, silent, self-sufficient, and now he's exactly that. Strong, silent, suffering alone with whatever burdens he carries, and I can't help him because I don't know how. Because I never learned how myself. My daughter is 58. She's the one who calls the most, who tries the hardest to maintain a relationship. But even with her, there's a distance. She asks me questions sometimes, trying to dig deeper. "Dad, what was it like when you were young? Did you ever want to do something different with your life? What do you regret?" And I always give safe answers, vague, sanitized versions of the truth, because the real answers feel too heavy, too complicated, too late. My youngest son is 55. He moved across the country 20 years ago, and we barely talk. Once or twice a year, maybe. And I wonder sometimes if he's running from something. If he learned from me that the way to deal with difficult feelings is to run, to hide, to stay silent. I wonder if my silence taught him to be silent too. Here's the thing about staying silent for 40 years. You think you're protecting people. You think you're being strong, being selfless, not burdening others with your problems. But what you're really doing is robbing them of the chance to know you, to really know you. And you're robbing yourself of the chance to be known, to be seen, to be understood. Because here's what I've learned at 93 years old, way too late to do anything about it. Being known is one of the most fundamental human needs. We all want to be seen for who we really are and loved anyway. But that can't happen if you never let anyone see who you really are. I spent 40 years hiding my dreams, my fears, my regrets, my real thoughts and feelings. And what did it get me? A family who loves me but doesn't know me. Children who respect me but don't understand me. A lifetime of conversations that never went beneath the surface, and a profound, aching loneliness that I've carried every single day, even when surrounded by people. If I could go back, here's what I would do differently. I would tell my children the truth. When they were young, I would tell them that Daddy has dreams too, that Daddy gets scared sometimes, that Daddy doesn't have all the answers. I would show them my notebooks full of stories. I would let them see me struggle, fail, try again. I would teach them that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. That sharing your real self with the people you love is the bravest thing you can do. I would tell my wife on those nights when I couldn't sleep what I was really thinking about, the characters in my mind, the books I wished I'd written, the part of myself I'd buried. I would risk her judgment, her disappointment, her confusion, because even that would have been better than the wall of silence I built instead. I would have real conversations with my sons about what it means to be a man, not the toxic, outdated version I learned where men don't cry and don't share and don't need anyone, but the real version where strength includes vulnerability, where courage includes admitting when you're wrong, where masculinity includes emotional honesty. I would teach my daughter that she deserves to be with someone who truly knows her and loves her for who she really is, not some sanitized version she presents to the world. Because I would want better for her than what I had with her mother. Two people who loved each other but never really knew each other. But I can't go back. I can only sit here at 93, with maybe a year or two left if I'm lucky, and face the consequences of my choices. My children don't know me. My grandchildren certainly don't know me. I'm just the old man in the chair, the grandfather who smiles and nods and doesn't say much. And when I die, which will be soon, they'll mourn the loss of someone they never really knew. They'll remember a ghost, a shell, a role I played, but not me, not the real me, because I never let them see the real me. Here's what I want you to understand. If you're reading this, if you're listening to this, if any of this resonates with you at all, please don't make my mistake. Don't stay silent. Don't hide who you really are from the people you love. Don't wait until you're 93 years old to realize that authenticity matters more than approval. That being known is more important than being admired. That vulnerability is the only path to real connection. Your children, if you have them, don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. Your spouse doesn't need you to have all the answers. They need you to share your questions. Your friends don't need you to always be strong. They need you to be honest about when you're weak. The people who love you want to know you, the real you, not the carefully curated version you present to the world, not the role you think you should play, but the messy, complicated, flawed, beautiful person you actually are. I know what you're thinking. But what if they judge me? What if they're disappointed? What if they don't understand? Trust me, I had those same fears, and I let those fears control me for 40 years. And you know what? The judgment, the disappointment, the lack of understanding, that would have been temporary. But the wall of silence I built instead, that's permanent. That's a life sentence. And now I'm serving out that sentence in isolation, even though I'm surrounded by family. Don't do this to yourself. Don't do this to the people you love. Start today. Have the hard conversation. Share the difficult truth. Tell someone who you really are, what you really think, what you really feel. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's risky. Yes, you might be met with confusion or resistance or even rejection. But I promise you, that's better than spending your whole life hiding. That's better than reaching the end and realizing that nobody ever really knew you. I'm 93 years old. I don't have time to fix this. But you do. You have time. You have the chance to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to be known. Don't waste it the way I did. Don't let fear steal 40 years of your life the way it stole mine. Be brave enough to be real. Be courageous enough to be vulnerable. Be strong enough to admit weakness, because that's where real connection lives. That's where real love exists. Not in the perfect image you present, but in the messy truth you share.